Hello, my name is Hira, and this presentation is about students with reading difficulties. We're going to talk about some intervention strategies for such readers. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about the assessments that come as a great tool to assess such students that have reading difficulties. One such assessment is known as informal reading assessment, which is a great assessment to use when you're trying to pinpoint the exact weakness and strengths of a student that may or may not have some reading difficulties or disabilities. Informal reading assessment is a great tool. It assesses students' reading as it assesses their approximate reading level, comprehension level, and it gives accurate information about their fluency. So according to the results from informal reading assessment, student X, she seems to be having trouble with reading and may have signs of reading disability. There's a lot of trouble with the recognition of words, decoding, comprehending the text, and there's also, since she is unable to decode and comprehend text, she struggles with fluency as well. She was also pronouncing familiar words inaccurately, as well as making up a lot of information from the text as she went on. Now, informal reading assessment comes in handy when you're trying to go to the exact weakness of a student, and then you can plan your intervention better because you know the student's weaknesses so well. The results from the previously mentioned assessment indicate that student X does need extra help in supporting word recognition, comprehension, and fluency. The way these results were calculated was through the reading of passages that come with the informal reading assessment. She reached her frustration level on level 2 to passage D. This is a level that usually students are in the second month of second grade. Student X is in second grade, but she is far along second month. So it's a little alarming that she is reaching her frustration level already. She also scored 15 out of 20 on the word recognition in first B and scored 12 out of 25 in level 2 1C. These looking at these assessments, we were able to begin her assessment from passage B. She scored on independent level in word accuracy, instruction level in comprehension. As she continued to read passage C, her fluency decreased significantly, and she scored instruction level in word accuracy and was in buffer zone for comprehension. Now, she was instructed to continue reading. However, she was having a lot of trouble and was substituting a lot of words such as third for dried and near for never. And there were also weekly tests conducted through the readings in class after every lesson, and she scored 65 out of 100 for phonics and 55 out of 100 for comprehension. It does appear that she struggles a lot with comprehension as well as word recognition. Based on these results, we can intervene and we can plan a better intervention for her, or a better plan for her, which will accommodate her needs. Now, we're going to talk about why it's important to assess students. It's important to assess students because you do need to come up with a plan to differentiate their instructions, because these students often do struggle in whole group learning. They cannot understand or reach the same level as their peers. So it's important to have some kind of a plan for such students so they don't fall behind. And oftentimes, because interventions or plans by teachers are not well thought, or they do not reach the level or pinpoint the weakness that the student is facing, sometimes these students become at a potential risk for falling behind. So these tests come as a prevention to support such students who are potentially at risk. The goal for these assessments is to prevent them from falling behind. One such intervention is known as RTI, which is backed up by a lot of research. The multi-tier intervention works in such a way that in tier 1, the instructions for students are organized in such a way that they receive high quality core instruction as a whole group. In tier 2, some supplements are given to students that are struggling, and students work usually in a small group setting. In tier 3, however, the intervention becomes as a one-on-one tutoring, and it's very intensive. This helps the students who are struggling to come back up come back up and be able to learn as at the same pace as their peers, and it prevents them from falling behind into a disability. So keeping everything in mind, starting from which assessments were used for student acts and the results of those assessments and why assessments are important, I was able to come up with an intervention plan for student acts. Since we know that she struggles with word recognition, comprehension, and fluency, she could benefit. After thorough assessment, it was understood that she can benefit from Read Naturally, which is a program that helps students catch and come at the same pace as their grade level peers. And student X was also given some small group instructions following the Read Naturally plan. Now, the first strategy in this plan is modeling of the story. So a teacher would usually normally sit with students in a small group who have difficulty understanding. The teacher will model the skill for them, and then the students will it could be as modeling the story. So first the teacher will explain to them how a story is supposed to be read, keeping rate and expression in mind. The students will try to model reading the story the same way as a teacher. Now, according to research, modeling helps student because they gain a better understanding and see how the skill is performed. Now, if student X is listening to the model story, she will be able to pronounce correctly, go at the rate that is correct, and be able to express the same expressions as her teacher. Additionally, in this strategy, there's also repeated reading. Through repeated reading, student X will develop reading fluency. It is also backed up by research that a lot of times when you read repeatedly, your word recognition gets better and you're able to understand and read the text more fluently. Now, to ensure success in fluency and monitor the rate of reading, students engage in 1-minute practice readings to build their mastery of the passage. Once students feel like they can achieve their reading speed goal, they let the teacher know. The teacher then conducts a passing time during which the students are evaluated against 4 criteria. 1 is that student reaches goal rate, 2 is that student makes 3 or fewer errors, and 3 is the passage is read with appropriate phrasing and comprehension questions are answered correctly. Through all of this, and students also do get to monitor their own progress, so they get to see where they are, where they need to be. And these are all done in small group instructions where there's only 6 or fewer students, so that way there's a lot of attention paid to each student. And since they're listening to the model of the story, they're repeatedly reading, their fluency is getting better, their comprehension is getting better, and the progress monitoring helps them keep up with the program and helps them set goals for themselves and expectations, and they can they can actually understand their own weaknesses and strengths. So in conclusion, student X who was struggling a lot with word recognition, comprehension, and fluency can benefit a lot from small group instructions and Read Naturally. Through progress monitoring and use of past time, student X can track her own progress. Weekly tests will also be conducted to keep track, and time-to-time informal reading assessments will help monitor student X's progress thus far. All of these together combined will prevent student X from falling behind. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.